Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Ever think about what it'd be like if someone you thought was dead, like really dead,
Mm-hmm.
popped back up, and not just that, they come back with this dark secret
Oh,
that
wow.
forces you to deal with the past? You'd rather just forget.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, and that's the kind of wild ride we're taking today with Lock Me Out
Oh,
by C. Holman. It's a psychological thriller that will
I love those.
totally keep you on the edge of your seat. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can find a link to the book in the description below.
Awesome. Yeah, this book, it just grabs you and throws you into this mess of relationships and secrets and
Right.
and all the baggage that comes with trauma. It really digs into like the darkest parts of what makes us human. Makes you ask some tough questions about guilt and redemption and what love really means.
Okay, so let's break it down. We meet Colt, who's the responsible brother, the one who stayed behind to take care of their mom, who's sick.
Right.
Can you even imagine taking care of her while she's in a coma for years, carrying the guilt of things he did in the past, and wishing he could take it all back?
That's a lot for anyone to handle.
Mm-hmm.
It shows how much Colt cares about his family, his sense of duty, but holding on to that, it takes its toll. He's convinced that his brother, Nix, is actually alive, even though everything points to him being dead.
Ah,
And that causes problems between him and his girlfriend, Leni, who's trying to move on from losing Nix.
yeah, and Leni's story, it just breaks your heart. She's grieving her mom, and supposedly, Nix,
Hmm.
we see her going to their graves, trying to connect to the past, but then she starts getting these anonymous threats
Oh,
that make her
no.
feel scared and unsure about everything.
It's like she's fighting for control, everything feels so out of her hands.
Yeah,
Stuck between these two brothers who love her but also hurt her in their own ways.
right.
She's always trying to find her own way to be happy on her own terms.
And then there's Nix.
Yeah.
He comes across as this troubled guy, haunted by something we don't fully understand at first.
Right. Right.
He's hiding from the world, watching Leni from the distance,
Okay.
fighting this inner darkness that seems to both push her away and draw her in.
Uh-huh.
It's creepy,
It
but
is.
also, super intriguing.
Oh, for sure. That's classic psychological thriller stuff. And the author does it so well. You get these little hints of darkness, especially from Nissa's point of view.
Hmm.
Like, you see his creepy tendencies, how he wants her, but also kind of wants to hurt her. And it makes you wonder how far he'll go and how much his past trauma is playing into all of this.
So speaking of the past, let's talk about that fire that destroyed their childhood home.
Yeah.
It's more than just physical damage, right? It's like a symbol for
Yes.
this huge traumatic event that changes
But
everything.
where things get really interesting,
Okay.
we find out the fire wasn't an accident. Nix and his friend Bradley set it on purpose to hurt their abusive father.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a desperate act because of all the trauma, and it has these ripple effects that go way beyond the physical damage.
Mm-hmm.
Nix carries around all this guilt because he thinks he caused Bradley's death in the fire, and it drives him even further away from everyone.
And then you have those anonymous threats against Leni,
Right.
adding this whole other layer of fear.
Yeah.
As they get worse, you just keep wondering who's behind them and what they want. It creates this constant tension, like something terrible is about to happen.
The author is a master of suspense, keeping us guessing the whole time, dropping little clues, but never giving too much away too soon.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a slow burn that keeps you hooked, wondering if Lenny's really safe and how it's all going to end.
But even with this danger looming around, the real drama comes from the love triangle between Colt, Leni, and Nix.
It's messy.
Mm-hmm. It's all tangled up in emotions, with Leni torn between her love for Colt and this connection she still has with Nix.
And both brothers, they really love her, but it's a messed up kind of love.
Right.
Because of their own traumas and the secrets they're keeping. Colt wants to make up for his mistakes, but he can't accept that Nix is dead, and he tries to control everything, which causes problems.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nix, he's struggling with his own darkness, wanting Leni, but also capable of hurting her, which scares her.
We see Colt trying to win Leni over with gifts, like a brand new car, but it feels more like he's trying to make him feel better than actually showing her love.
Exactly. Leni sees through it, realizing that stuff doesn't fix the real problems. It's like a commentary on how complicated love and redemption can be, how even good intentions can go wrong.
Then, just when you think it can't get any more twisted, Nix confesses to setting the fire with Bradley.
Yeah, that changes everything.
It blows up the idea of a normal life that Colt and Leni were trying to hold on to.
Right.
They're forced to face the truth they've been avoiding. Colt has to deal with what his brother did while trying to protect Leni.
And Leni,
Yeah.
she has to rethink her feelings for both of them, especially after what they put her through in the past.
So we have all this guilt and love and trauma, plus the threat of those messages. It's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, totally.
But you can't help but be pulled into their story, trying to understand why they do what they do and how it'll all play out.
That's what makes this book so good. It doesn't give you easy answers. It makes you question your own ideas of right and wrong, good and bad. These characters are messed up. They can love deeply, but also be incredibly cool. And that's what makes them so human, so relatable, even when they're at their worst.
Speaking of worst, things take a scary turn when those anonymous threats escalate.
Yeah.
Leni had been getting those messages, and now she's attacked and threatened by this group of people.
It gets real, showing how much danger she's actually in.
Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy is that Nyx, the one who seems most likely to be violent, is the one who protects her, even fighting her attackers.
It's strange, isn't it?
It is.
He can clearly hurt people,
Yeah.
but then he becomes like a shield against it. What does that tell us about him?
It's a question that keeps coming up throughout the book. Is he being a hero? Is it some messed up chivalry?
Right.
Or just a way to control things? It's hard to tell, and that mystery is part of what makes Nyx such a fascinating and unpredictable character.
And during this attack, we get a clue. We find out who one of the people behind the threats is.
Okay.
It turns out to be Deborah, who went to school with Colt and Nyx, and her boyfriend.
Ah.
When they confront Leni at the movie theater, you can see how much Deborah resents her.
It's tense.
Yeah.
And it shows a lot about Deborah. She seems to blame Leni for her brother Bradley going missing, the one who was last seen with Nyx the day of the fire.
Right.
So this resentment adds another layer to the story, connecting the past and present, and making us think maybe revenge is the reason for the threats.
So now we have this web of trauma and blame, all tied back to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that car Colt got for Leni?
Yeah.
She starts to wonder why he really got it, feeling like it's more about him trying to deal with his guilt than a real act of love.
It shows how fragile their relationship is. So there's this doubt that everything Colt does is just to make himself feel better instead of truly caring about Leni's happiness.
Right. And then, in a moment of frustration, Leni spills a secret she's been keeping from Colt. Those anonymous threats.
Oh, that's not good.
His reaction. Explosive.
This is where you see their relationship really start to fall apart. Colt's anger, all bottled up from their shared past and his own anxieties, just explodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's both scary and heartbreaking. It makes you wonder if their love can survive all these secrets and the scars from their past.
And then, bam, out of nowhere, Nyx comes back into the picture. Not as some ghost, but real and alive.
Wow.
It's a total shock that shatters the illusion of normalcy that Colt and Leni were clinging to.
It's brilliant how the author does that, flipping everything upside down, and it sets the stage for a whole new level of crazy and danger in their already messed up lives. How will Colt and Leni react? What's Nyx been hiding? Can their already shaky relationships handle this?
We'll find out in the next part of our deep dive into Lock Me Out.
Can't wait.
So, stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned. It's like Nyx coming back just throws everything into chaos.
Yeah.
Like a bomb going off in an already tense situation.
Total.
It's pure shock, disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
And Colt and Leni, they have to face all of this emotional baggage they've been carrying around for years.
You could just feel their world like crumbling, right?
Absolutely.
All their carefully built realities just shattered
Mm-hmm.
when they're confronted with this guy they thought was dead.
Yeah, Colt is a mess of emotions.
Right.
Overjoyed that Nyx is alive, but furious at the deception and the pain it caused Leni.
It's intense, that scene.
Oh, yeah.
The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife.
Colt's emotions are just pouring out of him. Relief mixed with resentment.
Mm-hmm.
And Nyx, he's scarred, withdrawn.
Yeah.
And he finally starts to open up about the trauma, the horrors of their childhood with their abusive father.
And what he reveals is just, heartbreaking.
Isn't it?
He describes the manipulation, the forced cruelty, the constant fear.
It paints this awful picture of their childhood.
It does.
Helps us understand why Nyx ran away, why he chose to disappear instead of facing what he did.
It's a classic trauma response, right?
It is, that urge to escape the pain no matter what.
Yeah.
But it raises a question, can you really outrun your past, or will it always catch up to you? Nyx coming back suggests that maybe you can't.
And Leni, she's completely shaken by Nyx showing up again.
Of course.
Imagine living with the ghost of someone, trying to find peace in their absence,
Yeah.
and then suddenly, bam, they're right there in front of you.
It's terrifying, especially with what she went through with both of them.
Her fear makes total
Yeah,
sense.
absolutely.
She's been trying to move on to heal from the wounds both Colt and Nix caused.
Mm.
And now she has to deal with not just the physical scars, but the emotional and psychological damage that's still there.
It's a reminder that the past can have a really long reach, even when you desperately want to escape it.
And then, right in the middle of all this emotional chaos,
Yeah.
Nix drops a bomb.
Oh no, what now?
He confesses to having these fantasies about Leni while he was gone. Fantasies about hurting her, humiliating her.
That's chilling.
It sends chills down Leni's spine.
It would
Honestly, it creeped me out too.
It's a moment that blurs the lines between love and obsession, desire and cruelty.
Yeah,
It casts this dark shadow over their whole dynamic and makes you question what Nix's feelings really are.
right. Like, are they real or just twisted desires? A
Exactly.
way of replaying the power dynamics he experienced as a kid.
It makes you think.
And sadly, his words turn into actions.
Oh, God.
While Colt's at therapy, Nix forces himself on Leni, ties her up, and basically acts out the scenario he's been obsessing over.
It's brutal, a complete violation.
It is.
It destroys any hope of things going back to normal and throws Leni into a state of pure terror.
This act of violence changes everything.
It does.
It's a permanent shift in their relationship. And it's a stark reminder of the danger working beneath the surface.
Yeah.
How darkness can erupt even when things seem calm.
Right.
And it forces us to face the hard truth that sometimes the people we love are capable of hurting us the most. When Colt finds out,
Oh, man.
he's devastated.
I bet.
Imagine that realization that the brother he's been defending, the one he believed in, is capable of such cruelty.
It's got to be heartbreaking for Colt.
It is.
Shattering his whole worldview and forcing him to face the dark reality of his brother's nature.
And then, just when we think Leni can't handle any more trauma, another twist throws everything into chaos.
What happened?
George Bradley and Deborah's dad
Yeah.
shows up, driven by revenge.
Oh, wow.
We learn that he was the one who tried to run Colt down earlier, convinced that Colt and Nix are responsible for his son's death.
George's arrival is like this ghost from the past, a living reminder of their guilt and the consequences of the fire.
Yeah, his grief has become this dangerous obsession.
It has.
He can't think straight, he just wants revenge, no matter what the truth is. His anchor is so strong.
You can feel it.
And his determination to make them pay is terrifying.
It's a reminder that unresolved trauma can twist people's perceptions, turn grief into something destructive that threatens to consume everyone around them.
And it adds another layer to the story, right?
It does.
It's not just personal conflict anymore.
Yeah.
It's a battle against this force of pure vengeance.
Right.
It raises the stakes and makes you wonder if any resolution is even possible in all this chaos.
It's a good question.
And George isn't alone.
He's not.
We find out that he's joined by Cecilia Bradley and Deborah's mom
Oh, wow.
and Mike Dennis's dad.
So they've teamed up.
They have united by their shared pain and anger.
Mm-hmm.
They want justice for their kids.
A powerful force.
It is one that Colt and Nix have to deal with.
Yeah, it shows that trauma doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Right.
It affects families, communities, generations, leaving scars that are hard to heal.
And then comes the biggest reveal.
Okay.
We finally find out who's been tormenting Leni, who's behind those anonymous threats.
Who is it?
It's George.
George.
Yeah, pulling strings from the shadows, using psychological warfare to hurt Leni and cause chaos.
It's a game changer.
It is.
It connects everything. Shows how deep George's manipulation goes, how far he's willing to go to get what he wants. It's a reminder that people we see as victims can also be the ones causing harm.
Yeah, in sneaky and insidious ways.
Exactly.
George's actions show a man consumed by grief,
It's sad.
driven to extremes by his need for revenge.
Mm-hmm.
He's become this master manipulator,
Wow.
orchestrating everything to punish the people he blames for his son's death, even if they're not actually responsible.
It's tragic how grief can twist even good people.
It is.
Lead them down a path of destruction.
Yeah.
George's story is a warning about holding on to anger and the importance of finding healing instead of continuing cycles of pain and revenge.
So as the tension builds,
Yeah.
we're left wondering, how will Colt, Nix, and Leni get out of this web of deceit and danger?
Right.
Can they survive George's wrath? And will they ever find peace in all this chaos?
It's a wild ride, this story.
It is.
Taking us deep into a family torn apart by trauma, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature. about love and loss
Yeah.
and how much the past can shape our present.
As the story heads towards its climax,
Mm-hmm.
we're on the edge of our seats,
Totally.
wondering if redemption is even possible in all this darkness.
We left off with Colt heading out, all angry, ready to end the threat from Cecilia's father.
Yeah, he was on the mission.
Like, he was convinced that was the only way to keep Leni safe, to finally break free from all the pain that's been haunting them.
You could practically feel the tension.
Right.
Like he was ready for anything.
But is violence really the answer?
Yeah, that's the big question hanging over everything.
And the book, it doesn't give you any easy answers.
Right.
When Colt finds Cecilia's dad,
Yeah.
he doesn't find some tough guy, some criminal mastermind.
Really?
It's not what you'd expect.
So no big showdown, no guns blazing.
Nope. He finds a broken man,
Huh.
a man eaten up by guilt and regret over his daughter's death.
Wow.
He's a shell of who he used to be.
So not a threat anymore.
Not really. More like a victim of his own grief and anger.
It makes you realize that
Yeah.
sometimes the people we see as the bad guys
Mm-hmm.
are just as hurt as the people they hurt.
Exactly. And Colt, he sees that.
He does.
Yeah. He recognizes his own darkness in Cecilia's father,
Oh, wow.
and he stops himself. He steps back from the edge.
That must have been a tough choice,
It was.
especially after everything he's been through.
But it shows he's capable of growth.
Yeah.
Of change.
He realizes that violence just leads to more violence.
Right.
And that real strength comes from breaking that cycle.
It's a turning point for him.
It is.
A major step in his journey toward healing.
And his choice, it affects Nix and Leni too.
It does. It has a ripple effect.
What about Nix? He's been pushing Colt to find a different way
Mm-hmm.
to choose peace over revenge.
Yeah, he's been trying to guide him.
So how does he react to Colt's decision?
Relief. And I think deep down, it really touches him.
Okay.
It proves that change is possible,
Mm-hmm.
even for someone as wounded as a Holt.
Yeah.
It makes their bond stronger,
Right.
reinforces their commitment to building a better future.
One free from the echoes of their past.
Exactly.
And Leni, she's been right in the middle of all this.
She has.
How does she deal with all this trauma and find her own way to heal?
Leni's story is one of incredible resilience.
Yeah.
She faces her fears head on,
Mm-hmm.
works through her complicated feelings for both Colt and Nick, and in the end, she embraces the uniqueness of their relationship.
Okay.
She chooses to define her own happiness,
Good for her.
finding strength and comfort in the love they share,
Yeah.
even though they all acknowledge the darkness they've been through.
The book ends on a hopeful note, right? A kind of fragile peace.
Mm-hmm.
But it suggests that redemption is possible.
And a brighter future.
Yeah, it's not a perfect ending,
No,
but it feels real earned.
definitely.
It's hope.
It's a testament to the power of forgiveness,
Mhm.
forgiving yourself and others.
They've been through so much,
They have.
but they choose to move forward together,
They do.
looking for healing and a chance at a life without the weight of their past.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
One that stays with you.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Lock Me Out.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. We explored the dark side of these characters.
Yeah.
And faced some tough truths about what it means to be human. What stood out to you the most?
Yeah, what resonated with you?
Share your favorite moments, your biggest takeaways, any questions you still have down in the comments.
And if you haven't read this gripping psychological thriller yet,
You should.
definitely check it out. The link's in the description.
Don't forget to like and share this deep dive with anyone who loves complex characters, unexpected twists, and stories that really dig into the depths of the human psyche.
Until next time.
See ya.